an inevitable event in Black Clover will be Asta's interactions with the anti-magic devil. I think that's one of those things that you can just assume is going to happen. We just don't know when it's going to happen. And personally, I'm hoping that we find out that he's been in communications with the anti-magic devil, at some point over this 6-month time skip, and maybe that's why he's, been able to progress so much. But eventually, we're going to have a part where the anti-magic devil takes over Asta's body. I doubt we're just going to get, like, a none ever, or he takes over and it's permanent, and I'm fully expecting some form of, kind of like when Ichigo first, started to get the mask. Like, you remember his fight with Byakuya when that was put on him. But what I'm hoping for is we get that before any big stuff, before any fights with Zeno or the Dark Triad or Megicula. One of the Dark Disciples would probably be perfect for it. And the just display of maybe what is to come for Asta once he starts to really get a deeper grasp of his devil. Maybe we find out not only it's just having the devil's powers, but it doesn't mean you're going to know all the different capabilities to use them. If you remember when Ichigo actually went off against the white Ichigo. Well, we already know how it turned out. It's already the Zanpakuto and stuff, but it's just easier to go with the white Ichigo, Hollow Ichigo. But he's like spinning Zangetsu from the banding, the cloth that covers it, and kind of using it like a buzzsaw, something like that, where maybe we find out a way that Asta might be able to advance his swordsmanship, or possibly like we see something that Asta would ever otherwise have no idea of, like, oh, he's got 2 hands but 3 swords. Maybe before he gets another wing, he gets a tail, because we know that obviously the devils have tails. Maybe he wields his 3rd sword with the tail, and he triple wields like that. There's always going to be possibilities for where we, end up seeing this. But I think the importance of it is the fact that if Tabata does in fact doing this, it's one of those things, again, I think is inevitable. But if and when we see it against a character that it doesn't feel like a cheap boost. I think you can kind of understand when it's not like something set up. It's one of those things that's like, well, it makes sense that, it exists, but it kind of feels unfair that it's happening right now. And I know, like, certain times for Naruto when he would get, oh, he's losing, it's just a higher level of the Nine Tails kind of boost up into a point where he just became too OP for the unfortunate people he fought. Like, if it was against, like, Zeno, that'd be, it's like, oh, well, Asta's losing, well, here he comes, he's got, the double takeover. It would be like, that's not really fair for him. It feels like a really convenient boost that he got. Whereas if you set it up with a character that doesn't matter a whole lot, you can look at it like, well, this character, like, this is their purpose. This is what they exist for. This is like the entirety of, like, poor Ludros, he's like a semi-interesting bad guy, but really when you look back at it, like, he wasn't that all stand out. He had a kind of a cool backstory, but for the most part, he existed for, Asta to get his first power-up form and beat up on it. I think another way to kind of explain it is, again, always easiest for me to kind of compare to, Fairy Tail. So, if you haven't seen it, or you have seen it, you know that Slayer mages, whether they're Dragon Slayers, Demon Slayers, God Slayers, they can adapt their body to eat versions of their element that they otherwise wouldn't be able to, instead of it just being like, oh, I can either eat this, Natsu can eat all these different kinds of fire. We saw when he fought Zenkro for the first time, a God Slayer, he wasn't able to eat his fire at first, and it took him time, like, he had to pretty much mess down his magic and then adapt to the fire, because Slayer magic is you're essentially adapting your body to be like that of whatever type you are. And he was able to create a way to eat his opponent's flame in order to beat him. Now, when you look at something like that, I think it's easy to be like, that's, it's an asshole, it's not an hour. I would disagree on the fact that, like, Zenkro is, don't get me wrong, I like Zenkro. I thought he was a really cool character, really nice design. But when you, like, compare him to, like, even in that arc, he wasn't a big deal. Like, he was, like, in the middle area just of, like, the 7 kin of Purgatory. Blue Note was above him, Ultir was way above him. You could easily go with the Zuma, Rusty Rose, and obviously Hades. So when you kind of, like, look at a character that would be used purely for the exposition of either hype or you know, a new power, a new ability, something kind of just like that foreshadow something that will eventually happen. A character like that would be very, very understandable. Like, again, think of one of the Dark Disciples. They could be kind of cool, maybe. We don't really know a whole lot about them. Maybe they got cool magic. Maybe they got a cool personality, backstory, design. But at the end of the day, if they're not a huge deal. It's not like, you know, like, again, like with one of the Dark Triad. Them losing one of the Dark Triad is like it would be a huge loss to them. So if it was done in such a unfair way, it just wouldn't, I don't think it would feel right. I think a lot of people would agree with it. Whereas with Dark Disciples, it'd be like, I mean, who cares? They're not a big deal. There's a bunch of them. And they could probably they could probably go and pick another random guy and be like, you know, you seem pretty compatible, and then have a new Dark Disciple. But anyway, I just wanted to go over that really quick because it is something that I think a lot of people have been questioning, you know, being prepared for. And it's one of those things, especially in shonen, when, you know, you have a character has some form of, you know, other being that they draw their power out of. I know Asta's, it's not like the anti-magic devil is implanted in his body. It's in the grimoire, but it is, you know, it's connected to his power source. So we can look at it in that area. We know that eventually that he's either going to get taken over, or maybe just have like some form of time where he's like, all right, I'll let you have a turn, but you can't take my body permanently. And it'd be really cool just to be like the anti-magic devil's like, all right, you have a deal, just to stretch my legs. I promise that I won't just, you know, backstab you. I'll be out for 1 minute, and then we'll switch back. Something fun like that. Plus, it would also be really cool just to see the anti-magic devil. Like, we haven't seen of him. We've only seen 2 scenes where he's had dialogue. But anyway, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about this and where you think it'd be coming up. Would you be cool with that? Like a Dark Disciple, like, oh yeah, they're powerful, but then that's where we see kind of like a display of, you know, Asta lose control, the anti-magic devil takes over, then they slaughter the guy. Dark Disciples, to me, seems like the perfect spot to put all that in, because really, who cares if one of them gets taken out? Anyway, comment below, thumbs up the video. I really appreciate you preferring the like button and subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But I appreciate everybody who's already subscribed. I thank you all for listening. Bye.